like to now introduce you to Doron Spielman, the Vice President for Ir David, the city of David. I've known Doron for many years and also had the pleasure of serving with him. Doron originally hails from Detroit, but he came to Israel and has been one of the driving forces behind Ir David, together with of course, David Be'eri, who originally served in the Duvdevan Elite Reconnaissance Unit, and of course is known as the founder of Ir David. So Doron, with that, the floor is yours, and welcome Alan to your site. It's your place.
All right, thank you, Danny. And Alan, our dear friend, our board member, and somebody who's in the trenches with the state of Israel and the Jewish people, and also the city of David.
Well,
Alan,
I love Ir David. I love it. I love Ir David. You guys have really made the best case for the historic Jewish presence in Israel, and have totally refuted by empirical evidence, hard evidence, evidence that you can see and hold in your hand, the deep Jewish connection to Israel. So thank you so much on this wonderful Yom Yerushalayim Day for all the work you've done on behalf of the Jewish people in Yerushalayim.
It's a great pleasure, Alan. And as you know, and as I know, and as I hope we'll be able to show the visitors in just a minute, when we say Yom Yerushalayim, Jerusalem Day, it really means where we're standing now. Should I go take a look at the top? Should we go take an overlook?
Sure, please, yes.
Okay, please follow me. So we're walking through the city of David. Alan, as you know, usually when we come here, there's a few thousand visitors. Last year we had 1 million visitors. But right now we have it all to ourselves, you and me, and all the people that are watching us. So here we are. It's fascinating because the overlook that we're heading up to right now is actually located, as shortly we're going to see, it may be the most strategic area of Jerusalem, but it's outside the old city walls. And as Alan knows, that's a very strange thing considering the old city from the time period of King David, the old city from the time period of the Bible, the very facts that Alan's talking about, of which we found so many, are actually found here in the city of David. We're going to climb up one more flight of stairs, and we're going to see this gorgeous view. It was 106 degrees today, roughly, here on Jerusalem Day. But here we go. Look at this view. The view that, of course, the Jewish people, people from all over the world, have been dreaming about for all these years. We have the Temple Mount right behind me. And if we look closely, we actually have the Huldah Gates, the 3 large gates to the Temple Mount, which people from the city of David going back thousands of years, Alan, as we know, they would have walked this way as they took the pilgrimage up to the Temple Mount. And here we are in the city of David. The fascinating thing is that when Jerusalem was liberated in 1967, and that shofar blast was blown, they actually didn't realize that the city of biblical Jerusalem is here outside the old city walls of Jerusalem. And because they didn't know that, Alan, I think that's actually maybe the key to why we have so many discoveries, because treasure hunters and all these people looking for treasure for themselves or for museums all those years, they brought those treasures from the old city. They didn't realize it. Outside the old city walls, down here, about maybe 250 feet away, is actually the original city of Jerusalem.
They're digging in the wrong place.
It's amazing, Doron. Every time I come to the city of David, and I come every time I go to Israel, it's one of the highlights of any visit to Israel. I learn something new, and I feel so humble in the face of the history, because every day you produce something new. And, you know, here we have living history. We have history unfolding in front of our eyes. We're going back more than 2,000 years, sometimes as much as 3,000 years. And we're learning new things. It's amazing that, you know, you go to high school, you think about history or college, that's something in the past. Here we see history telling us about the present and the future.
Absolutely. You know, Alan, it's so interesting you should say that. Just a few weeks ago, we uncovered a seal, a little imprint from a signet ring that said, Natan Melech, Eved HaMelech. Natan Melech, the servant of the king. And it was found just next to where I'm standing. And, you know, what does that name mean? Natan. Okay, Nathan sounds like a modern name. We open up the Bible. the second book of Kings, exactly what you were just talking about. And we see that King David's great-great-great-grandson Josiah is ruling in Jerusalem, meaning the David's dynasty, and his servant is called Natan Melech, the servant of the king. And we found his actual seal. It's barely hit the waves, and we almost haven't had a chance to get it out. Right next to where we're standing, it used to be our parking lot. So it's even I am humbled. I mean, every day we're here, the discoveries just abound, Alan. And
and how do the enemies of Israel, how do the Arafat followers explain that? Remember, Arafat sat down with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton told me this story personally during one of the deliberations and said to Bill Clinton, President Clinton, oh, there's no Jewish connection to Jerusalem. It's all a myth. I don't know why you're falling for it. And Bill Clinton shook his finger at him and said, you're not only disputing Jewish history, you're disputing my Christianity. Because without Jewish Jerusalem, there is no Christianity. Without the Second Temple, there is no Christianity. Without the Second Temple, there is no New Testament. So have you ever had an occasion to debate with any of these deniers? I mean, there are Holocaust deniers, there are all kinds of deniers. Jerusalem deniers are among them. How do you debate with them? You just show them things?
So I do. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, Alan, often I'll get a group, let's say even a group from the United States, but especially from Europe, where you have two types of people in there. You have the Holocaust denier level people where no matter what I say, just like they'll say that if the chimneys in Auschwitz weren't real, the evidence of the Temple Mount they'll say doesn't real. That's one set in the group, which I always realize there's 2 or 3 of them, and there's no talking to them. But then there's all those other people, the people who are confused, where like your book, all of your books about defending Israel and Israel's right for its existence, where it speaks to them. When they're here, I don't argue at first. I say, let's see some history and then we'll talk politics. And I take them down to King David's palace directly beneath where we're standing. And I show them the seal of the Yuchal, the son of Shlomeah, found in the book of Jeremiah. And I just watch their faces and I see this kind of the hardness begin to break. The best case we have for us is just to let the history present itself. And then I always find when we begin to speak politics at the end, they say, wait a second, that story of denial that I was hearing, how can that match with the empirical evidence? And it's those little breakthroughs, I think, that the city of David is so powerful in generating, because you have actual fact. It's not only faith, which is important, it's actual fact. And, we're standing here in an overlook. I'm showing you a building, which everyone in the world knows was built by Herod, right? In the Second Temple Jewish period. And the gates, which are now sealed, we're coming up to Shavuos next week. The Jews walked up those gates. I mean, there's no denial. We have coins, we have writings. The Jewish people have been celebrating Shavuot, and this is 600 years before Muhammad. And not only that, it's also, before Christianity really began to burgeon. And all one has to do is to be here and walk around with these symbols and open up the text. And I think it kind of shatters all of those myths. The city of David is a myth-shattering experience. That's how I've seen it.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah.
So, it's very interesting. One of the things we had, Alan, was, which for all these people from America and all the work that you've done, is for the first time since I've been here for 20 years, but really the first time in more than 60 years, the United States government has now recognized the city of David. This administration, their support for the event of the opening, all these officials from the State Department who really understood the idea that the values of the city of David and the values of the Jewish people of monotheism, which gave birth to liberty and all these justice, those are the values of America. And for us, this has been an unbelievable year. I mean, this Jerusalem Day, having the United States hand in hand with Israel.
May it continue for many years to come. Yeah.
Amen. So, I thought, Alan, I don't know if you have a few minutes. I thought maybe I'd give, you and I could take the viewers to a place that you've seen, but almost no one else has seen. Do you have a minute just to take them behind the scenes, underneath the ground, and let's actually give them a treat on Jerusalem Day leading up to Shavuot and go down to the pilgrimage road?
Right.
All right, let's do it.
And you don't even have to get your feet wet when you do it by television, right?
That's true. Although we can have someone pour water on you.
Uh-huh.
It's an at-home experience. So, Alan, the reason, and all of our viewers, the reason why we lost contact there for a second is because we just went 4 stories underneath the ground. We're deep beneath the ground, inside, underneath the ground of Jerusalem, really where the stones speak. And Alan, you've been here, and a handful of people have been here. This is the area of the Pilgrimage Road. We're going to just duck down, and we're going to drop down a stair here. Before we go any further, I'm going to bend down here, and I want to share something with you. We're on the actual Pilgrimage Road. Nothing here has changed in 2,000 years. It's exactly as the Jews who were here celebrating Shavuot and Pesach and Sukkot 2,000 years ago and 3,000 years ago. This is the original stone. But when we dug here, we found a stone that doesn't match this area, and we lifted up that stone. And I wonder if our viewers can come a bit close and see what's happening down inside here. This is a pit leading down to the sewage. And, you know, we were crawling through that sewage. And I was part of the original team that crawled through it. And as we were crawling, we found pots coated with food on the inside of them. And we opened up Josephus, the Jewish Roman historian, and he talks about the original Jews fleeing Jerusalem through this channel on their way to Masada. The Jews who fled here were killed, and they never made it there. And if that's what we were left with, it would have been a very depressing story. But we found something else that, Alan, you kind of changed the experience for me. As the defender of the Jewish people, walking down this road, again, the Pilgrimage Road, heading down towards the pool, the other end, in the ancient era would have gone up to the temple. Alan, does this look familiar?
Yeah.
Do you remember what this is?
I don't, but you'll remind us.
All right, Alan. This is the first and only ancient podium in the ancient world.
Oh, yes, I remember. I stood on it and made a speech. Right. Yes.
You stood up there and made a speech.
Right.
And we were all gathered around. We had all of our workers gathered around. This is just when we found it. And we looked at you, and one of the workers said to me, they said, he's the defender of Israel. I said, he is. He said, that's probably what they were doing here 2,000 years ago.
Right, yeah. Just give me a platform, give me a podium, and I'll stand up and defend Israel. That's my job. So thank you for finding that thousands of year old speech podium. Great.
Absolutely. And before we say goodbye, I just wanted to share 2 things with you, if we could. This is a coin. This little coin is a coin from the revolt of Israel. It says on it, year 3, and then the other side says, for the freedom of Zion. This was the final coin minted by the Jews before we were exiled in the year 70. This one comes just from before that. And that's the coin. We found thousands of them on the road behind me, thousands, because the Jews were running for their lives. They dropped these coins. The Romans didn't even pick them up. They had no value. We found one coin like this, much bigger. This coin says in it as the picture on it of Vespasian. And on the other side, it says Judea has been captured. And you see a woman crying and a Roman soldier standing above her. And when you talk about proof, it's so interesting because you asked me about the naysayers. Here, it was the Romans that minted that coin. They said, Judah's been captured. The women of Israel and the men of Israel have been defeated. It's over. This Judaism thing is over. And I thought that would be an interesting thing to share with the viewers because it's Jerusalem Day. And,
yeah. And it's so important that you turn that prophecy on its head. And Israel thrives, Israel survives. Rome still exists, but the Roman Empire no longer exists. We don't have Caesars, but we have prime ministers and Kohanim and the people of Israel. Chai Chai v'kayam.
Amen.